Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Parado is Offline, and today we are here in Hiroshima. It's a beautiful sunny day here in Hiroshima. It's kind of hard to see through the window because of all the steam that's coming from the window, because it is actually so cold outside. I think it's like 10 degrees Celsius today. But we're prepared. We got jackets, we got thermal liners, we got the whole shebang. And today is going to be a fun one. So today our only real plan is to go to Itsukushima, an island just off the coast of Hiroshima that's home to the Miyajima Shrine and a lot of other places as well, such as the Dasho-in Temple. But similar to the other days, if we have time to look at other sites, we're going to go check them out. Anyways, with that out of the way, let's get the day started. All right, let's go. Today, I was going to spend the day at Miyajima, an island off the coast of Hiroshima. To get to the island, I needed to take a ferry that was departing from Miyajima-guchi, a town just southwest of Hiroshima. Normally, you would need to pay a small fee of about 500 yen, or roughly 3 USD, to ride the ferry to the island. Luckily, however, the Northern Kyushu Pass that I had been using to ride the bullet trains could also be used as a pass to ride the ferry. You can catch a ferry from the mainland about every 15 minutes. However, when traveling back from the island, double check the ferry times as the intervals in between increase as the day gets longer. On the way to the island, you can catch a glimpse of one of the area's most famous tourist attractions, the floating Torii gate of Itsukushima Shrine. It's an incredible spectacle during high tide, but guests are also able to walk out towards the Torii gate during low tide, which we'll be doing later on today. After landing on the island, I headed off to my first stop for the day, the previously mentioned Itsukushima Shrine. This shrine is considered to be the source of both the island's name and its fame. Formerly named Itsukushima, this island is now more popularly known as Miyajima, which translates to Shrine Island in Japanese. Both the shrine and Torii gate are built over water, which give it the illusion that it's floating during high tide. Within the shrine, guests will line up along the pier to take a picture with the floating Torii gate. After exploring, I grabbed my next Goshuin and headed off to the next destination. Immediately after exiting Itsukushima Shrine, I arrived at Daigan-ji Temple, a large temple said to enshrine the god Benzaiten. Benzaiten is a female deity who has the power over the arts. As such, according to the caretakers, this temple is known as a sacred place for artistic talent and is often visited by many famous entertainers and musicians. Of course, I made sure to pray for my own good fortune for artistic endeavors and grabbed another Goshuin from my book. The next spot for the day required a bit of hiking. Mount Misen is the island's highest peak and offers a spectacular view of the Seto Inland Sea and Hiroshima City. To get to the peak, there are 3 hiking trails that you can take, so as an aspiring adventurer, I of course decided to take the easiest route with a ropeway. That said, even with the ropeway, the trail to the peak was still an arduous journey. At the top of the ropeway was Shishiwa Observatory. This place serves as both a halfway marker for the journey and a small appetizer for the main observatory at the top of the mountain. From here, you just follow the trail through the foliage until you reach the next landmark. There were plenty of guests walking in both directions, so I had to be mindful of others, either moving out of the way when I needed to take a break, or stepping to the side for those moving faster than me. Although I haven't hiked very much before, the pathway to the top was simple enough for me to do in one sitting. Additionally, it was a pleasant hike because the trail was littered with lush greenery and complemented by a cool breeze. If you're planning on coming here, make sure to pack hiking shoes as the trail can get a little bumpy. After about a 30-minute hike from the ropeway, I made it to one of the temples near the summit, Reikado. Reikado is known as the Hall of the Spiritual Flame and is said to house an ancient flame that has been burning for over 1200 years. Local legends say that tea boiled using these flames is effective against all diseases. This flame was also used to light the Flame of Peace in Hiroshima's Peace Park. Along the way to the top, I passed a few more temple structures, all of which belong to the Dasho-in Temple, which we'll be visiting later today. Finally, after the long hike, I reached the peak of the mountain. At the top of the mountain, there was an observatory for hikers to rest and take in the view, and let me tell you, the view from the summit was breathtaking. On one side, you see the entirety of Hiroshima City, and on the other side, the massive expanse of the ocean. After I rested for a bit, I made my way back down the mountain and onto my next destination. Before heading to the next spot, I stopped by a vendor selling grilled pork belly and grabbed myself some lunch. Once finished, I made my way over to Dasho-in Temple. This temple is said to be one of the most important temples of Shingon Buddhism. If you remember, back in Fukuoka, we visited the head temple for Shingon Buddhism in Kyushu, Toyokuni Temple. This temple features a variety of buildings and statues for visitors to admire. Along the way up the temple steps, guests are able to participate in a Buddhist ritual. The handrails are adorned with spinning metal wheels that are inscribed with Buddhist teachings, and it is said that turning the inscriptions as one walks up has the same effect as reading them, meaning, even without knowing the language, you can still benefit from the blessings. After exploring the temple, I grabbed my next Goshuin. The next spot on the list was Toyokuni Shrine. It has an impressive wooden hall and a 5-storied pagoda that has a striking view on the island. Within the shrine, I visited Senjo-kaku, an enormous wooden building in the center of the complex. Senjo-kaku translates to Hall of 1,000 Tatami Mats, which is appropriate given the size of the structure. When entering, guests are required to take off their shoes and hold them in a plastic bag as to not get the wooden floor dirty. The hall gives you a nice view of Hiroshima Bay and Itsukushima Shrine. After taking a look around, I grabbed another Goshuin from my collection. It was getting late in the day, so for my final spot for sightseeing, I made my way back down to Itsukushima Shrine to visit its Torii gate at low tide. During low tide, guests are able to walk down to the beach to see the Torii gate up close. From a distance, it's difficult to determine the exact size of the gate. However, walking next to it during low tide, you quickly realize how much the gate towers over guests. It's a popular spot to take photos of, with one side of the Torii Gate with a view of Itsukushima Shrine, and the other side with a view of Hiroshima Bay. I spent quite a bit of time admiring the view before heading back to the mainland. For dinner, I made my way back to Hiroshima and stopped by a restaurant called No Gyoza, No Life. One of the nice things about some restaurants in Japan is that all ordering can be done via a touchpad, meaning that even if you can't speak or read the language, you can still order the food that you like. As for myself, I grabbed their recommended gyoza plate, an order of pork garlic fried rice, and a lemon sour. Good morning, guys. Welcome to day 2 here in Hiroshima. But we're actually not going to be in Hiroshima for today. Seeing as today is the last day for our northern Kyushu pass, we're actually going to be taking the bullet train out eastward towards Onomichi and Okayama. But anyways, let's go and catch that bullet train, so see you guys there. For the first stop for the day, the plan was to head to Onomichi to do their famous temple walk, a 2.5 kilometer route that goes through 25 temples in the city. Onomichi is about 30 minutes east from Hiroshima via bullet train. That day, it just so happens that I was able to catch the Hello Kitty themed bullet train. If there's one thing Japan is the best at, it's putting cute mascots on public transportation. After I reached the station, I had to take a taxi to the eastmost temple in the city, as the end of the temple walk was actually the station that we arrived at. On the way, I had a pleasant conversation with the taxi driver, and after telling him my goal for the day, he handed me a map and a guidebook. After I was dropped off, it was time for me to set off on my walk. The Onomichi Temple Walk is a route that is designed to take you through 25 temples. The majority of the temples are small, but still very pleasant to visit. Some even have informational placards that give you a brief history of the temple. Along the way, there are signs to help you keep track of where you are and your progress. Additionally, the route itself is paved with a stone brick path, so it's easy for you to stay on course. After walking around for a bit, I reached the first major temple, Saikokuji. It's about a third of the way into the route and is situated on top of a hill overlooking the city. The entry gate to the temple is visually striking, with massive straw sandals surrounding the mouth of the gate. The inner complex features multiple buildings, including the Founders Hall, a food hall, and the temple's main hall. Additionally, near the top of the complex, there's also a 3-storied pagoda. After admiring the view, I grabbed my Goshuin and headed back on the trail. To reach the next major shrine, I needed to take a ropeway up the mountain. Taking the cable car, I was able to get a nice view of the city. Once I reached the top, I took the Path of Literature to reach my destination, Senkoji Temple. This temple is possibly Onomichi's most well-known landmark. The temple is perched near the summit of Mount Senkoji and has a fantastic view of the Onomichi Channel. If you're a fan of the Like a Dragon series like I am, you'll know this as one of the landmarks from Yakuza 6. After looking around, I grabbed another Goshuin and grabbed some sakura flavored soft serve before heading down the mountain. After finishing the temple walk, I returned to the station and traveled further east to Okayama to see the Kurashiki Bikan historical quarter. This famous shopping district is a preserved historical site that has converted its former storehouses into specialty stores, museums, and cafes. The antique look of the preserved storehouses give visitors the feeling that they've traveled back in time. Along the center of the area, the famous Kurashiki River flows through the shopping district, where guests are able to take a short guided boat ride through the city. One part of Kurashiki specializes in Kojima denim, a premium denim brand that originates from Kojima, a city just south of Kurashiki. If you're looking for quality designer jeans or other denim products such as bags, jackets, or even denim-themed ice cream, this is a good spot to check out. Additionally, there are plenty of stores in the area to grab local delicacies and souvenirs. After grabbing a few items, it was time to head back for dinner. For dinner, I wanted to get the world-famous Hiroshima Okonomiyaki. Okonomiyaki is a Japanese savory pancake filled with all sorts of ingredients, usually cabbage, a protein, and some sort of sauce. A restaurant I would highly recommend is Nagata-ya. This is my second time coming to this restaurant, and it's probably one of my favorite eating experiences I've ever had in Japan. I ordered the store's specialty okonomiyaki, which came with cabbage, pork, various seafood, and noodles. The whole thing was topped with a generous helping of green onions and a raw egg. This was the perfect dish to cap off my time in Hiroshima. Well guys, that's the end of the Hiroshima portion of our journey. What'd you guys think? Hiroshima is definitely one of my favorite spots to visit to whenever I'm in Japan, but the last 2 times that I've been here, I didn't get a chance to go to Miyajima, Onomichi, or Okayama. Overall, I think I had a pretty good time, and I hope you guys had a good time learning about the things that are here as well. Let me know down in the comments what your favorite spot was, and if there's any spots that you would recommend that I go check out next time. But anyways, that's it for me today, guys. Tomorrow we are actually heading up to Nagano, so we are flying out. But until then, have a good night and see you tomorrow.